Spinda, the Spot Panda Pokemon. The Pokemon with identical stats across the board, but always being unique in its appearance. If you've ever caught a shiny Spinda before, you almost definitely have the only one with that pattern. Heck, to be honest, even if you've got a regular Spinda, it's probably the only one. But the question is, has anyone ever really used one before on a playthrough team? With stats like these and a kinda interesting move pool, I think it deserves some love. So with that said, is it possible to beat Pokemon Emerald with just one Spinda? Let's find out. Just to clarify, by beat Pokemon Emerald, I mean defeat all the gyms, defeat the Elite Four and become champion. Before we begin our little challenge, let's quickly lay down some ground rules. I can only use Spinda in battle. I can use other Pokemon for HMs when needed, but that's it. I can't choose any items in battle. I want to see just how resilient Spinda can be. Held items, like berries, are allowed though. And finally, I don't want to overlevel too much. This is more just a courtesy than a rule, just to make it more fun. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's see if it's possible to beat Pokemon Emerald with just one Spinda. And so, the run begins. It starts off exactly as you'd expect it to. Telling the professor my name, setting the clock, talk to May, then collect my starter Pokemon. I used the UP randomizer application to change Trico into Spinda, meaning we'll have a tough fighting type in Combuskin to beat later on. I nicknamed my Spinda Gummy because I like gummy bears. Now it's time to take on May. At the start of the game, Spinda will actually be quite strong, considering he doesn't evolve, meaning his base stats are far greater than any other base form starter. So after using Uproar a few times, the job's done. After collecting my Pokedex and some Pokeballs from Professor Bircher and May, it's finally time to start my adventure. But not before getting the running shoes from my mum, so cheers mum. Next we headed straight through Petalburg Woods to reach the gym in Rustboro. The gym trainers actually weren't too difficult considering we had Feint Attack, which is a special move in this gen, and it kind of destroyed all of the specially defensively weak Geodudes. Now for Roxanne. She leads with Geodude and I lead with Spinda, of course. I go for Feint Attack, and luckily Geodude misses a Rock Tomb. I use Feint Attack again to bring Geodude into the red, while he retaliates with another Rock Tomb, lowering my speed. After she heals with a potion though, 2 more Feint Attacks take it out. Out comes another Geodude, and this one is just a rinse and repeat. A couple of exchanges later, and it goes down in just 2 Feint Attacks this time. Now for the scary Nose Pass. She goes for Harden while I go for Feint Attack. I mean, it's all I can really do. She blocks me in for some reason, while I just keep chipping away. After a berry, potion heal, and attack later though, I go down. I've probably got to grind just a little more levels to take it out next time. I come back after doing exactly that. Spinda is now level 17 and has learned Psybeam along the way. The 2 Geodudes go down the exact same way as last time. However, this time I have more HP. Nosepass starts off with the same order of moves as last time, although this time she misses a Rock Tomb and ends up getting confused. Perfect. After hitting itself in confusion, Roxanne already used her potion on Geodudes which she can't heal, meaning I take Nosepass down after a critical hit. Nice. I'm sorta just gonna gloss over any unfun story stuff and get straight to major battles. So it's time for the second May battle. She leads with Lotad, which I pretty much demolished with a single critical hit Psybeam. Then out came Torchic. After using another Psybeam, I actually get the confusion and then it hits itself. Yay! So now it's off to Dewford in the hopes to murder Brawly, which is pretty much what happened. Outcome was matchup, then down again. Meditite just spammed Focus Punch like a weirdo, so it just went down too. Then Makuhita arrived and met the same fate, but not before literally launching Spinda into the wall. Gym done. After the gym, I promptly left Dewford and started to head towards Slateport to deal with the Team Macro shenanigans there before fighting May again. Her team is always pretty tough at this point in the game, so let's see how it goes. Wingull was first, but it wasn't much of a threat. After using Uproar, Gummy wanted to learn Dizzy Punch, so that's cool I guess. I replaced Uproar with it, but since I was still locked into the move, Gummy kept going on, despite no longer knowing the move, which I find quite funny. Anyway, after tanking a couple of double kicks from Combuskin, Gummy takes him out too. Our final Pokemon was Lombre, which went down pretty easily. After sending Wally's Rocks to the Shadow Realm, Gummy wanted to learn Teacher Dance, which for a run like this will come in handy a lot. So now it's Watson time. Voltorb faints to a single Dizzy Punch, and so does Electrike. Then out comes the real trouble, Magneton. Since all of Gummy's attacking moves are not very effective, I start by confusing it with Teacher Dance. It then annoyingly paralyzes me. After a little bit of luck though, I got it to the red. But then of course he heals, so back to square one. I managed to get it down to the red again, but then he heals a second time. It's okay though, because we got some confusion luck and finished it off. However, this does mean that I'm going into his last Pokemon Manectric with low HP and I'm paralyzed. I don't know why, but he was just spamming Howl. I mean, I'll take it, but why? After once again some confusion luck, I actually won the battle. How? I don't know, I'm usually so unlucky with RNG in Pokemon, but wow, thanks. I happily skipped my way up north to reach Follower Town, which I collected the TM for Dig and encountered some sketchy Team Magma Grunts to allow me to fight Maxi on top of Mount Chimney. I once again got the immediate confusion luck. What is going on, man? My Tiana goes down. Zubat was a total pushover as well with a single Psybeam, as expected though. So Maxi sends out his ace, Camerupt. After one Psybeam and one crit Dizzy Punch, however, we win. Maxi wasn't actually too much of a challenge, mainly because I think Gummy has been climbing levels a little too quickly. I'm sure the game will ramp up though as battles get tougher and longer. Nothing happens between Maxi and Flannery's gym, so we took her on next without hesitation. She lived with Numel, so we took it out. Then Slugma, which we took out too. Thirdly, Camerupt, which met the same fate as Maxi's. And finally, Torkoal. Now this is usually the toughest to take out on our team, but with Gummy being a bit too powerful at this point, it was a pushover. Gym 4 done. So the gap here isn't much just like before, so Norman time. I was actually a little cautious about this one. Out came an inferior Spinda, so Gummy quickly disposed it. Now slacking is what I was worried about the most. However, with its ability being the worst in the game and Gummy using Teeter Dance, it was easier than I first thought. He hit himself turn 1, so we kept firing away Dizzy Punches. He then continued to hit itself, which at this point my luck has just been ridiculous. A few desperate heals later on Norman's part, slacking fell, sick, but not before putting Gummy to sleep, which meant that Vigoroth then had a chance to put some damage on Gummy. But he woke up super quickly and took him out. His final Pokemon was Linoon, who just wanted to spam Belly Drum, so it was just as easy as the others. Damn. Oh, and before moving on, I replaced Dizzy Punch with Facade. They have the same power, but I just prefer Facade's secondary effect a little more than Dizzy Punch's, since if I wanted to confuse, I had Teeter Dance. This is the point in the game where we're sort of just set free with the ability to use Surf, so off to the Weather Institute. Aqua Admin Shelly was just a simple pushover, however, so it's pretty standard for Gummy at this point. I taught Gummy the TM for Shockwave, since it will come in handy for one particular Pokemon coming up in this fight. 6 gym time, where Winona just becomes another Gummy victim at this point. I'm really starting to hope that the levels catch up a little bit, because it's just making this run a little less enjoyable than it could be. Who knows, maybe an army of equally trained Spinda Nuzlocke style would have been more challenging somehow. Anyway, Shockwave was actually not meant for Pelipper, although of course it helps, it was actually for the Skarmory, since it's pretty much a tank for the rest of my moves. After it heals a couple of times, it faints. Altaria was last, but after 2 Facades, Gummy wins. After a pretty easy fight with May for the final time, I didn't feel like it was necessary to talk about it much. So Mount Pyre is our next destination, where we collect the TM for Shadow Ball, which will come in handy later. I know we've been going pretty speedy throughout the commentary of this video, but you might as well pick up the pace even more with this Evil Team section. Maxi in the Magma Hideout Cave wasn't too bad, since he only had 3 Pokemon. Onto Team Aqua. In their hideout, I found the Master Ball. Pretty useless in this challenge, but nice nonetheless. Admin Matt was the same difficulty as Maxi, with his team being taken down fairly quickly. Okay, we're at Moss Deep now. Deep breaths, guys, we're almost there. It was time for Gummy's toughest challenge of the run, taking on Tate and Liza in a double battle, 2v1 style. To accomplish this, I just stuck a Magikarp in the second slot and spam Splash, pretty much making him effectively useless, meaning it's only Gummy that could fight. This battle is gonna be tough. So I prepared Gummy with the clutch TM I was talking about earlier, Shadow Ball. I felt like I didn't have much use for Psybeam anymore, so that's what I replaced. Now for the fight. They led with Claydol and Xatu, and I led with Gummy plus Magikarp. I started with Teeter Dance, which is such a good move for this specific scenario. Come on RNG luck, don't fail me now. Magikarp fell in turn 1 as expected. Gummy took an Earthquake and fought back. Xatu went down, 1 down, 3 to go. Lunatone was next, and Claydol hit itself in confusion, so I went for Lunatone to try and make it go down quickly, as I was happy to leave a confused Claydol on the right for now. Gummy got Lunatone onto the red, as Claydol hit itself again. Perfect. After a berry heal, Lunatone falls. 2 down, 2 to go. Solrock came out last as Claydol hit another Earthquake. It got nullified though, thanks to our held Citrus Berry. I went for Teeter Dance again, because at this point I need all the luck I could get. I almost take out Solrock with a Shadow Ball, but then Claydol nails a critical hit Earthquake to bring Gummy down to what looks like 1 HP. All I could do was sit there and pray. I took out Solrock with Shadow Ball and begged for good RNG. And then this happened. I'll just play the clip.
Holy shit! Oh my god, that was the closest battle I've seen in my entire life. Gummy, you clutch. Holy shit. Level 64. Wow. Wow. Outstanding performance.
So there we go. Gym 7 done. I have no words, so let's just keep going. Time for the tag team battle with Steven against Team Magma. The result was as expected, however, so there isn't really much else to say. So finally, it's time to wrap up the evil team section of the game, where we take on Archie as he awakens Kyogre. Archie led with Mightyena, which went down after a couple of facades. Crobat went down in a similar way, with Gummy being unaffected by Confuse Ray due to his ability. Lastly was Sharpedo, which got obliterated by a single critical hit Shockwave. Simple. After that, it's just a whole bunch of story stuff to do with Kyogre, Groudon and Rayquaza, where nothing happens battle-wise, just some running back and forth and a couple of cutscenes. So we'll move on from that and go straight to the final gym fight. Juan leads out with Love Disc and I send it back. Then Wishcash, which almost goes down the same way, but lived with super low HP. So after a heal, we comboed Shadow Ball and returned. Next was Celio, which fainted after 2 returns, since Juan had already used his Hyper Potion. Crawdon was Gummy's next victim with 1 solid return. Lastly, Kingdra, which went down just like the others, so that's it. Every gym and Hoenn defeated. But before moving on, I grabbed a TM for Brick Break, since that will come in handy for the Elite Four. Speaking of the Elite Four, at this point I wasn't sure if Gummy could take on the Pokemon League at its current level, so I decided to continue forward anyway and see how far he could get. The final hurdle before that, however, was a pretty uneventful Wally fight where I just spammed a series of returns and Shadow Balls to take him down without a struggle. So with that said, we made it all the way through the entire region and Victory Road to make it to the Pokemon League. This will be quite a fun final test. So without further delay, let's do this. First is Elite Four member Sydney. This is the main reason why I grabbed Brick Break, to be honest. It'll really make this fight much easier. He sends out Mightyena, but just like the others in the past, it wasn't too difficult. However, Gummy suffered 2 accuracy drops, which with no way of removing them meant we had to deal with missing attacks for the rest of the fight. It didn't cause too much of an issue though. In a way, it kinda helped. Since I was now missing a few attacks, it gave Shiftry time to swagger Gummy, which didn't confuse because of own tempo, but still gave the attack buffs. Due to this, it was just a matter of switching between Return and Brick Break to finish off the rest of his team, since Shiftry managed to use Torment before going down. Second is Elite Four Phoebe. This is the fight that made me realize I might need to be a few levels higher to get this done. She leads with Dusclops, who just protects twice to burn my Shadow Ball PP. After I finally hit, Dusclops dooms me with a curse, giving Gummy a time limit. After doing my best to fight, 4 to 5 turns just isn't enough to be able to win this, so down goes Gummy. I guess it's off to Victory Road to grind for a bit. I think level 80 is probably a good place to stop. I don't want to push it too high, so after doing exactly that, it's time to try again. PB rematch time. I'll skip over Sydney since it was pretty much the same kind of fight. As before, she leads with Dusclops. To save PP, I start with Shockwave this time, just so I don't end up eating away at Shadow Ball again. This time, it went much better, since Dusclops never managed to use Curse on me this time. Next is Banette, which this time goes down to a single Shadow Ball, since Gummy is now a higher level. Third is Sableye, which went down to 2 Shadow Balls. I was worried about double team, but I hit both, so nice. The second Banette arrives and then departs shortly after. Finally is another Dusclops. This one either didn't want to use Protect or just didn't have it, so 2 Shadow Balls defeats Phoebe. Alright, so before facing Glacia, I decided to remove Shadow Ball for Calm Mind, since for the rest of the fights now, I wouldn't be needing it and Calm Mind could come in pretty clutch. So moving on to Glacia. She starts with Celio. I decided to set up a Calm Mind because pretty much all of her team knows special moves, and powering up Shockwave can never be an issue, so down goes Celio. Next was Glalie, which fell pretty quickly after a return. Then the fight kinda just repeats itself. I always find it funny how Glacia has 2 Celios and 2 Glalies, but hey, it makes it easier for me, so I'll take it. Finally, Wolverine. She took a few more shockwaves than the others, due to bulk and a couple of heals, but once again, same fate, Drake time. Drake started with Shelgon, which gave me the perfect opportunity to start setting up Calm Minds, since for some reason he just spams Protect. After setting up 5 Calm Minds, I took it out. I was a little worried about my speed being dropped by Rock Tomb, so I just didn't risk another Calm Mind. Altaria was second, but wasn't very troublesome. Turns out 5 Calm Minds still isn't enough for a one-shot, so I just went for a 6th expecting a heal. However, Altaria used Double Edge, so it goes down. Nice. Kingdra followed, but was dispatched with the now +6 Shockwave. Flygon, however, wouldn't be so simple since it's ground type, so a few returns did the job instead. Flygon did nail me with an Earthquake though, so I'm facing Salamence with half health. That being said, it didn't make much difference. Salamence fell with a single Shockwave. Anticlimactic, I know. And here we are, the final obstacle in Gummy's way to victory, the champion, Wallace. One last fight. First is Wailord. I was a bit worried about Water Spout, so decided to just take it out with Shockwave instead of setting up Calm Minds first. Second, Tentacruel. It barely survives a return, so Gummy eats a nasty Hydro Pump. After Wallace healed, we took it down. Third, Ludicolo. Annoyingly also barely survived a return. He used Double Team, which worried me slightly, but my RNG this run has been incredible and it wasn't about to fail me now. Another heal later, half his team is gone. Whiscash, Return, Disposed. Gyarados, Shockwave, Annihilated. Finally, Milotic. One crit later, demolished. That is that. So, we did it, or should I say Gummy did. To be honest, this run really wasn't as brutal as I thought it'd be. That's probably just my lack of challenge on experience talking though, but I really thought this would be way tougher. I really should have tried the Steven fight, but I didn't think of it until later, which at that point the save file is gone. I'm really glad we could do it though. I've enjoyed this journey, from playing the game in my spare time, to writing a script and commentating properly for the first time in my life. If you've made it this far, thank you. Seriously, thank you for sticking with me on this journey. If you did like it, comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Even if you didn't like it, comment away. I'm definitely going to be doing more challenge runs in the future, some more difficult and some with some other gimmicks, or even other games besides the Pokemon main series games. So let me know if there's any games, challenges, or just anything you'd like me to try. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!